Oh, Mother Ghana, how did we get here? How did we come to a place where the very people meant to protect us are now feared, not for their power but for their corruption? The Ghana Police Service, once a symbol of safety and order, has become the most corrupt institution in the country, often referred to as beggars in uniform. But can we really blame them? Can we truly hold every police officer accountable when the system they are part of is so deeply flawed? Or should we, as a nation, look at the larger forces at play, the political machinations that push them to such desperate measures? The truth is, joining the police force in Ghana is not about merit or passion. It's about who you know, and more often than not, about how much you can pay. Bribes are the unspoken requirement for recruitment. If you don't have connections or money, your dream of serving the nation dies before it even begins. And so, those who do get in are not driven by a desire to protect and serve, but by the necessity of surviving in a system that seems to be designed to break them. Once recruited, a police officer is given a uniform, just a single one. From that moment on, they are expected to buy their own uniforms and boots, a task that is impossible to fulfill on their meager salaries. With paychecks that barely cover basic living expenses, these officers are forced into a situation where taking bribes isn't just an option. It becomes a means of survival. When a police officer stands at a barrier on the streets of Accra, Kumasi, or any other bustling Ghanaian city, their priority is not the safety of the drivers and passengers passing through. Their focus, heartbreakingly, is money. They have become like beggars on the street, approaching drivers under the guise of inspecting licenses and permits. But all they truly seek is a few cedis to line their pockets. And once that money is handed over, no matter how dilapidated the vehicle, no matter how unsafe it may be for the road, the car is suddenly deemed roadworthy. The safety of the passengers and the driver ceases to matter. What matters is that the bribe has been paid. But this is not just an individual problem, it's a systemic one. Police officers who collect bribes don't keep it all to themselves. A portion is sent upwards to their superiors, ensuring their continued placement at lucrative traffic barriers. If an officer fails to send these tips to their boss, they risk being transferred to a less profitable location. Some even pay bribes to be posted at barriers where they can collect more money from unsuspecting drivers. And then there's the politics. The police force in Ghana is divided, with officers loyal to the National Democratic Congress, NDC, and others to the New Patriotic Party, NPP. Instead of serving the interests of Ghana, these officers serve the politicians who helped recruit them. They have become tools in the hands of those in power, used not for justice, but for political gain. The real victims of this system are not the wealthy or well-connected. It's the ordinary taxi drivers and Okada riders, the ones trying to make a living on the streets of Ghana. They are the ones harassed daily, forced to pay bribes just to avoid arrest or a trip to court. Refuse to pay, and your vehicle is impounded, your day ruined, and your livelihood threatened. The rich, however, are seldom troubled. When they drive their expensive cars through the barriers, the police look the other way, fearful of the political connections these individuals may have. Taking a bribe from them could lead to more trouble than it's worth, possibly a transfer to a remote station or worse, losing their job entirely. And so the cycle continues. Day after day, week after week, police officers demand bribes from drivers. They always have a reason too. On Fridays it's, "Boss, it's the weekend, something small for the boys." On Saturdays it's for a funeral. On Sundays it's because it's a church day. Monday is a fresh start to the week, and of course, something small is needed for the boys to start the week well. When it rains, they ask for bribes because they're still on duty in the rain. When it's hot, they ask because they're working in the sun. There's always a justification, always a reason why they need to take more money from the people they are meant to protect. Is it any wonder that the Ghanaian public no longer trusts the police? They are seen as corrupt, as men and women who care more about money than the safety of the nation. Their love for money, some say, is beyond imagination. But who can blame them? How do we expect someone who paid a bribe to get their job to work with passion? How do we expect an officer recruited through political patronage to serve with integrity? The harsh reality is that most police officers in Ghana are paid so poorly that they cannot survive without bribes. Their salaries are insufficient to take care of their families, pay school fees, or even cover basic utilities. Many live in constant debt, taking out loans just to make ends meet. Some have 3 or more children to support on a salary of less than $300 a month. And for those who are also caring for elderly parents, the burden becomes almost unbearable. Is it any wonder that they turn to corruption? Is it any surprise that they see bribes as the only way to survive in a system that has abandoned them? And yet the law they are sworn to uphold is only applied to the poor. Those who can't afford to pay their way out are the ones who suffer the consequences. They are the ones dragged to court, the ones who have their vehicles impounded, the ones whose lives are disrupted. The wealthy, the connected, the powerful, they continue on their way, untouched by the corruption that festers at every level of society. But what can be done? Who can change this system? The government, it seems, is more corrupt than the police. They are the ones who set this system in motion, the ones who recruit officers through bribes and political connections. How can we expect the police to change when those in power are just as corrupt, if not more so? And so, we are left with the question, who watches the watchmen? Who will test the testers? Despite the overwhelming corruption, there are still good men and women in the police force. There are still those who strive to do their jobs with integrity, who resist the lure of bribes, who genuinely want to serve the people of Ghana. But they are few and far between, and their voices are drowned out by the overwhelming tide of corruption that surrounds them. Oh, Mother Ghana, how did we get here? How did we allow this system to become so broken, so corrupt, so heartless? We pray for a change. We pray that those honest officers will not be swallowed by the system. We pray that one day the police will truly serve the people, not the politicians, not their pockets, but the people. Let us know which part of Ghana you're watching from, or if you've encountered a police system more corrupt than the Ghana Police Service. Don't forget to subscribe to Ghana AI News for more eye-opening content like this. Together, we can work toward making a difference.